Well,
all-time lows. You're not there yet. You're just so ready. You've got this thing in your head. You're ready to plow out.
well, exactly. Now
Ready?
I'm gonna forget it. Yeah, now I'm gonna forget it. Welcome everyone. This is episode 30 of the Snapcast podcast with your hosts Brad O'Brien and Mike Cooley. So we like to put on this here magic podcast here for you for the MTG fans that have a casual interest in finance. If you're that person, you found the right podcast, and welcome.
Yeah, please subscribe to the channel so that you will get notified of all of our videos.
Absolutely. So, have you guys seen it? Have you guys seen the full spoilers to Jumpstart? Have you seen the cards that are popping all over the market? Card prices spiking, things being used in different formats. It's kind of cool, man. A lot of stuff happening this week.
Results of the ban announcement that we talked about last week?
Yes. BNR announcement. Whew. I feel like it was just kind of what everybody expected.
For the
most part.
Yeah, I was a little disappointed. Our predictions did not pan out. Our big prediction did not pan out. RIP K-Flag. Sorry, brother.
I feel like that's probably going to be a discussion every time they have a BNR announcement where they say that Modern's going to be affected. You know damn well people are going to be like, "Oh, I told you, Splinter Twin Pod." When really, the truth be
about
told,
it forever.
Exactly. Truth be told, that both of those cards probably never getting unbanned.
Well, yeah, and clearly we were not the only content creators that were on that train about Splinter Twin specifically, but.
Yeah, they crushed our hopes and dreams. It just, like, you know what I mean? You have that kid style excitement where you're like, oh my gosh, yeah, now is the time.
Do you care about the popper bands?
The popper bands? Well, yeah. I'm curious. I'm curious. Well, yeah.
Okay, so what were they?
Well, I didn't look at them.
Okay, so the answer, my question was, do you care?
I mean, I definitely don't care. But
so let's move on. Do you care about the historic bands? Did you know what they were before we started this episode?
I didn't know they did anything with popper. Did they? Or are you pulling my leg?
No, they did on the July 13th ban and restricted update.
I clearly care a lot.
Right. It's interesting, but I don't get a chance to play popper.
Cool format, but you got, oubliette and nothing else is interesting. Sorry, popper players. It's
so funny. I'm the guy that's all into foils, and you're the guy that's actually into cards that are worth money. They banned Expedition Map. Tron was getting too good in popper.
I can see that. I didn't even know Tron was a thing. The Tron lands are oh my god, yeah. That's stupid. That should have been banned a long time ago.
Yeah, and
they ought to really just throw an insult to injury and just ban one of the Tron lands.
In Modern. Sorry, Craig. They also banned Mystic Sanctuary. The island common land from Throne of Eldraine. Jeez, I was going to say Ikoria.
So, aren't these cards what make friggin' popper worth playing? Like, I'm sorry, like, for people that are really huge fans of popper, but this is the type of treasures that you look for when you want to play a format that's all commons, is these stupid cards that probably should have been rares, but they're commons, and there you are. Now this is going to make an awesome, interesting format to play. Now you're just going to ban these cool-ass common cards right here? Come on, dude. Were these really huge decks? Like, were they really taking over?
I have no idea. I don't play popper.
That's the thing. Nobody friggin' plays it. Maybe if more people played it, you'd see, these cards aren't really that busted because Affinity's still a thing. Affinity is a thing in popper. Last I checked, like, yeah, okay, that's great. You have a Tron deck, you know what I mean? But Affinity is still a thing. I used to outrace Tron all the time in Modern. I know it's a different format, but, like, it's quick. It's quick. And what are you casting for commons in popper for Tron?
I don't know. This is not the popper podcast. This is not the podcast for popper players.
You gotta have another Peter Piper.
Yeah.
Peter Piper picked some packs of promo
popper
picks, but probably people don't take a particular interest.
I also think and I might be speaking for myself, give a crap about historic, although I should, because I have played probably more historic than Pauper. And Arena is going to be having another one of these arena tournaments where if you go 7-0 on day 2, you win $2,000 cash.
Oh yeah, that's
and it's a historic tournament.
Wow. So they're really focusing on historic. I wonder if this Pioneer thing is going to be ever coming back to this degree.
Well, WotC has also suspended all sanctioned in-store games until September.
Yeah.
So,
yeah.
Really, you're on Moto or you're on Arena.
You're not playing Pioneer.
You're not playing. I mean, if you have a collection on Moto, chances are you're a modern player.
So Pioneer literally just dropped before the whole pandemic thing went off. September will make it 6 months that people have not been able to play in stores. What the hell is going to happen to that format? I wonder if they're just unbanning Oath of Nissa here to make it to draw some interest to it.
Oh, way to drop the lead in the middle there. Talking about our Pioneer unbanning.
Yeah.
The only unbanning on the list from that day.
Yeah, dude.
Yeah, I mean, this card died for Felidar Guardian sins, so to speak. Also, this was a big player in the mono green ramp deck that was huge for 3 weeks. Because at the time, they were banning stuff in Pauper every single Monday. They banned the green ley line of the new green ley line that mana ramps.
Yep. I know what you're talking about. The one that turns all your dorks into dorks.
Yes, double dorks. You double down on the dorks when you're playing this green ley line.
Right.
Abundance.
Yes.
And so that was also a broken. Oath of Nissa was helpful in that deck as well. So I'm actually excited to see it come back. I think it could help out with some Super Friends archetypes.
It's a really fun card too. I was a fan of this card as soon as they printed it. I picked up my playset. They were 80 cents each, and I'm like, they probably still are 80 cents to $1. But
funny story.
Super cool. Super good card.
You wouldn't think that Pioneer would have much of an effect on prices.
Oh my God.
But since the unbanning, a regular Oath of Nissa went from about $2 to about $7.
What?
Yeah.
Are you kidding? That's not for the foil? That's for the regular one?
That's just for the regular one.
Yeah, what, dude? All right. So, I bought mine for 80 cents. Investment of the week.
No, that we were looking at Goldfish. I'm over on TCG Player now.
Okay.
And they can be
still.
had for $4.
Yeah, that's still.
One of the things that I have taken to looking at on TCG Player, though, is what happens if I buy out the first screen? What happens if I buy out the first 2 screens? And so this is saying, now that would be really hard. There's somebody on the first screen here at $4 has 27 copies available.
Yep.
So this is actually a bad example of this idea. But if you were to buy out all of them on the first 2 screens, then you're at that $5.50, $6, $7.
Right. But here's the thing. Here's the thing about that. If for anyone that listens to Rudy's content, he has done something on this before, which he's dropped the most pertinent piece of knowledge I think he has ever dropped about investing, and I was happy I was there to pick it up. I'll regurgitate it to you guys, and that is never put your entire.
I'm trying to be the little baby bird that gets fed by the regurgitated mama bird.
That did not sound like you were regurgitating something, Brad.
For those that are listening to this podcast and not viewing it, Michael was not actually putting anything in my mouth.
No. So this is what he said, which was probably the smartest, piece of investment advice he ever gave. And that is, don't ever put your full collection of a card up on a website. So whether it's eBay, let's say you have 30 copies of a card because you invested in it and you're like, this card's going to go up. And you want to sell them. You've decided it's time to sell. Don't put all 30 up on eBay.
Oh, yeah.
Or don't put all 30 up on TCG or whatever you're doing. Put like 5 to 10 and sell those. And then that way, it sort of like does it's like the stock market thing where it kind of limits you. Like it can't go up too much without you catching it.
Right. If it spiked up to $12, somebody couldn't buy all of yours for $3.
Exactly.
Yeah. Actually, the Travis Allen from MTG Fast Finance, he talks about the same thing. He does one of two things. He'll put half of what he wants to sell up at a price that he's comfortable with, and then he might put a bunch up at the top of the list, just so that he has his inventory listed on TCG Player, but he never expects they're going to sell.
Yeah.
You know, like, so for this card that they're selling between $4 and $6, he might have his copies on there for 10.
Yeah.
Because if they get up to 10, great. Like if somebody's at the point where they're buying his copies, great.
Yeah. Like the market has made a significant shift at that point that you've capitalized on and didn't have to do any work.
Yeah. And if he decides at some point, I really want to get rid of these cards, he can always change the price down to whatever they're selling for.
Exactly.
He's got his inventory on there.
There's two types of sellers in the Magic game. People who want to get rid of their cards and people who don't. Like it's just how it is. You want to price your card up there, you want to put it on TCG, you want to put it on eBay. There's two types of sellers. You either want to get rid of your card or you don't. Like it's really simple. Like sometimes people will say, "Oh, this card's $30 now. I'm putting mine up for $30." You do not want to get rid of your card.
Yeah.
You are someone who does not want to get rid of your card. You're just happy that it's $30 and you're hoping you can get $30 for it. You don't want to get rid of it.
Oh yeah.
Someone else will be like, "It's $30. I'm selling mine for $25." You want to get rid of your card.
I love this. Hold on to this thought.
Yep.
Because I want to continue this. But I also want to say that sort of the topic of today's conversation is about, really, we want this episode to be about how to build your collection in an affordable way. If you're a person that has an interest in Magic, and like we said at the start of the podcast, you may have a casual interest in MTG Finance, but you play the game or are a collector, you're interested in Magic and want to save some money.
Yeah. That's kind of how I've been, dude. Like I talk about these sick investments that I've made sometimes. Truth be told, I've always just been opportunistic, and I'm like, "Oh, dude, that card is that cheap? All right, I'll get that."
And then you talked about Rudy. Yeah. Rudy is a guy that moves tens of thousands of dollars of product. Like he's a super high roller, but he's in the like MTG Finance industry. We're in like the MTG Finance hobby.
Yep. Yep.
And I'm totally cool with that. Like I hope that the people that listen to this can appreciate that difference. It's the same thing with MTG Fast Finance. I love those guys, but the amount of work that they put into calculating, and they do a lot of international arbitrage, like buying cards in Europe and in other markets cheaper to bring into the States and sell them.
Yeah.
I just want to play the game cheaper.
Right. Like if that's what you're trying to do, you're talking to the right guys right here. Like you're chilling with the right kind of guys. I just never want to get caught with my pants down buying cards. Like, "Oh, I'm going to a tournament and I need this card. Shit, it's $30. Like if you were going to the Legacy tournament in Massachusetts up here a couple, years back, and you needed bridge from below.
Times.
Yeah, and before the times, like, and you needed bridge from below. Well, sucks to be you, because that used to be a $35 card at that time, and then now it's like $2-3. Yep. You know what I mean? Like that's how we roll. And if that's like what you want to do, this is a perfect place for you, dude. Like that's what we do all the time. Like, shit, this card's dirt cheap. Let's get it.
Now I've already forgotten about the specific example that we were talking about.
Oh, dude, I got something for you.
Okay.
I could rattle them off, dude. This is just freestyle. Rattling off cards. Do we want to just rattle off cards? You guys should type some down in the comments, too, as you hear these. This is the theme. Cards that were stupid expensive at one point got reprinted and eventually were like below $3.
Yeah, so we want to talk about when the good time to get into cards are. And so you look at cards that had an incredibly high cost, and we've talked about this, the difference between cost and value last week. So there were cards that had a high cost. either because of rarity or playing value, that you can now obtain way more affordably, but their playability hasn't really changed. If anything, they've become more
Yes.
available.
And more playable.
More playable in more formats.
Exactly.
I'm thinking about Containment Priest.
Yeah, man. I can tell that's what's on your mind. This guy, you ought to hold this up for the camera. So for those of you who are listening, dude, and can't see this, Brad is a Humans player. And he friggin' freaked the hell out when Containment Priest came to Modern. He bought all of these copies, foil Containment Priest. He's got the regular pack foil. And I think it looks like he bought 4 of those. And he bought 4 of the like extended alt art like foils. And he's got 4 or 5 of those kicking around.
Because they're so cheap right now.
Yeah, dude. He told me. I almost like went right on and bought them as soon as he told me that. He's like, these are like $350 for the alt art, for like full extended, full bleed foils.
Right.
Like, holy shit, that card alone used to be $20. That card, when it was just a commander print, was $20, dude.
And it wasn't legal in Modern.
Right.
Or Pioneer.
Right.
So, this is the concept for this episode. We want you to be able to build your collection affordably. There's probably 3 great places, and I'm going to try and remember to keep this like checkpoint. Checkpoint number 1. Mm-hmm. Obviously, reprints are a time when prices are probably at their all-time low.
Yeah.
I know Mueller has told this story before, where Force of Will got reprinted, and it came down to like $40.
Yeah.
And he was like, I should get them. It's still like, $150, $160 for a playset.
Yeah.
I was like, and then he stopped thinking about it for like 2 months. And then they were $60.
Yeah.
And then they were $80, and now they're at whatever they're at now.
100 plus. Stupid.
These cards that are eminently playable.
Yes.
That have play value, and if you can tell if they had a high dollar value before the reprint, they probably had a good play value.
Yeah. And we were kind of just talking about this before we started casting, just casually discussing it. And that is like letting the market get in front of you and not trying to get in front of the market.
Yeah.
That is the best way to buy cards if you are like, a player who wants the cards in your collection and, you're concerned about, you're thinking of the finance aspect of it, but you're just trying to get cards in your collection. You are kind of like us where you want to be able to play any deck if you're, of your choosing. If Brad decides to put the Sorin in his Humans deck for whatever reason, if he makes that crazy decision, he wants to have the liberty to do it. So it's sort of like, if you do that, if you take that approach and you like try not, it's like the opposite of what we usually talk about, right? We usually talk about getting in front of, like, here's a
card we think is going to go up in value.
Yeah, it could go up in value. If instead you're like, all right, well, what is it at now and how playable is it? Like, and you kind of let the market get in front of you, especially around the time of reprints. And that's kind of specifically what we're talking about here. Like, when the reprints come around, let the market get in front of you first. Like, let's see what they go down to. Like, don't be in such a rush to necessarily sell yours away when the reprint's announced. Just kind of let it settle and get in front of you first. And, just buy them when they're at a good price, dude.
It's interesting now because I wonder, as we're saying this, I may have jumped on the Containment Priest even too soon. I couldn't imagine them being
no friggin' way
cheaper. So those are the regular non-foil alt arts. Yeah. There are some of these on there for $284, $350.
Yeah, but with shipping, they're $350.
Exactly.
Yeah, $350 was.
But here's the thing: I don't know. In a week, these could be $250. I don't know how many you're getting opened up of M21.
Yeah, scary to think about, man.
I just knew that I wanted to get them, and here's the thing: I am absolutely 100% comfortable, and this is the concept that we're talking about. I paid $350 for them. They were a $20 regular non-foil card at one point.
Yeah.
Now they're playable in 2 more formats.
Oh, yeah.
$350. Getting a playset. Actually, I got 8 copies for less than $20.
Yeah.
And I got 4 pack foils and 4 of the extended art foils. I'm not bragging. I just can't believe that I got 8 copies in foil in 2 different variations of a card that was $20.
That's insane. For how much total money? Like around a little over $20 maybe? Between 20, 30?
Me?
Yeah.
Mine were 20.
That's so stupid.
Because the
so
regular
good.
pack foils are dirt cheap.
So a good general rule of thumb too, and this is something that I've been following this general rule of thumb since Modern what came out. One of the big things that they announced with Modern when it came out was that oh wow, that's solid. Just pointed out a 50-cent price for what is this? What card? Oh, for regular Containment Priest. That's ridiculous. But general rule of thumb for Modern is any card that's over $60 in Modern, don't buy it. Don't ever buy it.
You don't need it that bad.
No, well, I mean, not only do you not need it that bad, but if you need it for a deck, like, okay, whatever, you're playing in a tournament or something next week, okay, I get it. But if you're not and you don't need that card right away, don't ever buy it.
Right, you don't want to add that card to your collection just to have it in your collection.
Euro right now, do not buy it. Do not buy that card. If you're not playing tabletop, like actual standard, do not buy Euro. And here's why. All of those cards are subject to reprint. And do you think Wizards of the Coast, being a company that really cares about their revenue and really cares about doing better each quarter, is going to pass up the opportunity to sell a product by reprinting Euro in it? You're crazy if you think that's the case. When Euro is almost $80 now. Like I saw some copies going up to $80, and I'm like, this is ridiculous. Like this is the prime card right here where they will reprint it while it's in standard. They'll be like, yeah, this is great. This is going to be a huge moneymaker. We're going to print a 5-card set, so we don't have to use much ink, cardboard, or nothing. And it's going to have Euro in it. And guess what? We're going to charge $30 for it.
Oh, a secret lair graveyard.
Yeah,
secret lair.
Exactly.
Escape.
That's exactly what it is.
Well, and they can do it under the guise of lowering the cost for players.
Oh, yeah.
Putting more copies into the market lowers cost generally. So
yeah. Well, I mean, there was a time where if you were a big fan of Modern and you understood that concept of like, okay, if a card's over $60, hold off. You know what I mean? And you looked at things that had comparable value to it. There was a time where you could easily get a play set of like, I'll use 2 cards, for example, Bob and Snapcaster. You could get a play set of each by having one at the right time. And by that, I mean, they've shifted back and forth so much in price, and they are of comparable value. Those cards are comparable value, right? Like they
and I do think that we have talked on this podcast about picking up both.
Yeah.
And they've both climbed up substantially since then, because you could have gotten them for $25 or $30 during the life of this podcast. And now they're double that again.
Oh, yeah. Well, even if you just were good at recognizing that value, which is what Brad's talking about with Containment Priest. Like, if you were good at recognizing that value when it was at its absolute lowest, and absolute lowest for Snapcaster, I think was like $18 or $20, like way back in the day when it just rotated out of standard.
Oh, yeah.
That was when I picked up shit tons of them, because I'm like, dude, this is being used in Legacy, Vintage, Modern, everything. I was like, this card's so good. And like, there was a time where at that point, Bob was $60. And I was like, okay, I am not going to get Bob. However, if I have a Bob, I can trade it for 3 Snapcasters at this point. So you take your Bob, you trade it for 3 Snapcasters, and you just wait. And then what happened? Snapcaster went up to $60, and Bob was like 40 at one point. So it's like, then you can take one of those Snapcasters and trade it for a Bob and a half. Like, you know what I mean?
Bob and a half.
Like, and literally those 2 cards specifically had fluctuated back and forth between the $40 and $60 mark. And it's like, if you were opportunistic in the way that you traded, there was a point in time where you could have one of those cards and eventually own a playset of both.
Yeah.
Yeah. It's nuts.
I know a lot of times when I show up to the shop, I have my collection binder, and then I have this trade binder. And the trade binder looks like just this weird amalgamation of cards, but there are definitely times where I'm like, wait, this card is $50 or $30.
Yeah.
I think I looked at Jace Vern's Prodigy the other day. I'm not going to play this card. I honestly think those flip cards are probably going to catch a reprint in the not too distant future. I put it in my trade binder because, wow, that's higher than I expected it would be. Maybe I will trade it for 2 cards or 3 cards from somebody else that I think will grow. So that's trading on the premise that I want cards for my collection. If I can turn 1 card into 3 cards, or you're saying basically sell high, buy low.
Yeah, exactly. Like
but it's recognizing when a card had value when it's at its lowest.
Yes, like that's the key thing. Like I think this all revolves around this key thing. If you're a player, a casual player of MTG, and you want cards in your collection, you probably already know the value of certain cards. You're like, I've seen that deck played. I've seen that card played in some decks in my favorite format. I definitely am interested in getting that. I'm going to pick it up. That has a lot of value. You know what I mean? That's a really low price, and I know that it's played in a lot of decks. Like Fabled Passage right now. Mm-hmm. You are stupid to not get that card at $5. Like, I know we had talked about it being good at $6, at like 10, between 10 and 16.
Oh yeah, it's even better now.
It's just about in every single standard deck that is being played right now. Like, and I'm not
Pioneer,
sure if
and a lot of Pioneer decks.
Historic, like all of these newer formats, which is the way that what they're trying to do here, is running for Fabled Passage. Like,
and just to be clear, Throne of Eldraine is going to be in standard for 2 more years.
Yeah,
or another year and a half after the next rotation.
And they're to the point now where they've reprinted that card so much they've driven it into the ground. And who knows, with the new sets that are coming out, maybe it might go below $5. If it goes to the $3 mark, just get them. Like, what have you got to lose, dude? The card has a lot of value. It can fetch any color. It's a fetch land that fetches for any color. And there's your value, right? That's a good price to buy it at. Like, that's a good price to buy.
And again, taking our logic, that's a card that we know was $16 to $20 at one point.
Yeah. Yeah.
That shows that its playability warrants a higher cost.
Exactly.
And when forces change, that either it's been out of print for a while and is harder to come by, or if it gets played more, that price will come right back up.
Oh, for sure.
Grim Tutor.
Yes.
Holy crap.
Yes.
I mean, talk about the poster child for here's a card that was really unattainable for a lot of Magic players.
$200+ is what this was at one point.
So the market price for starter is still $216.
Yep. So we were talking about something before the cast, and I really liked your point on this, and that was, even though some copies of Grim Tutor right now are like $15, do we wait? Because I feel like this has no home in standard right now.
It has no home in standard.
No home in standard.
It has probably no home in Pioneer.
Who the hell is using this in Commander? And if they are, it's obviously one of. Like, who is... Right. What deck are you running this in?
Looking at just the core set 2021 packs, they're just under $15 a piece for a regular pack. A pack foil is $18. So the price difference between a regular and foil in the pack printing is not that great. That's because there is an additional printing, which is the Alt Art full frame. That one there you can get for $20 right now.
That's nuts.
The foil is about twice as much. It's actually 46.
Yeah.
Excuse me. So they sort of track. I think you're right. I think wait another week on Grim Tutor.
At least.
Well, wait another week. If it trends down, wait another week. Because here's the thing. If it goes from 15 to 14 to 13 to 14, you saved $1. If it goes from 15 to 14 to 13 to 12 and then back to 13, you saved $2.
I don't know, man. Like this is one of those cards where
It
Who
is a
knows?
mythic.
It is a mythic, and the thing is, I don't want you to think I'm saying this card has no value. It's a sick tutor. It's very, very good. Here's the problems with it. It's 2 black mana. It's not very splashable. Like you kind of have to be committing a lot of resources to that color.
Costs 3 mana.
Especially in competitive formats. When we're talking about like competitive commander or whatnot, there are a lot more efficient tutors out there. And, I think that right now, the only reason it was expensive in the past is because of its rarity. Like it was printed once in starter, which was 96 or something, like, 20 years ago, just about. More than that, actually.
Yeah.
And, that was the reason it was so expensive. And now it got a reprint in many different versions here. And it's not necessarily any more playable or desirable. Yeah, right. Like it's in modern, it's in standard,
it's in Pioneer,
historic. I can see maybe a couple of those formats using it, but I don't think the playability of it went up substantially.
Well,
so
one of the things that you pointed out is one of the Snapcast favorite picks has taken the place of Grim Tutor in Legacy and Vintage Storm decks.
Yes, it has. Yes, it has. Do you guys know what we're talking about?
Don't even tell them. Let them put it in the comments.
That's right.
If you're listening to this cast and you don't know what card we're talking about, you need to go back and watch some old episodes, or you need to go to the comments and see where our tried and true fans have told you the card that we're talking about.
I believe I suggested this card to Jason Alt for his the replacement sudden substitution. Yeah. I was like, look, this card needs to be on there when you're talking, and we even called out Grim Tutor. We were like, Grim Tutor, it's $200+.
Is that your car alarm? Do you have a car alarm?
My car sounds more ballsy than that.
Well, it stopped, so I'm guessing it's not yours, or they got what they wanted. But
Grayson really speaks to you when the car alarm goes off. He's like, wench.
Grayson. That's the name for your car?
Yes.
You haven't.
There's a wench around the car. Wench.
I'm going to get a Grim Tutor. I may get, at some point I may try and get a foil full art one, because that's just the kind of idiot that I am.
Yep.
Because then I can say, I own a Grim Tutor. Like, this used to be a really cool elitist thing, and now even lowly Brad O'Brien has a Grim Tutor.
Good point. This is going to be a point. I'm going to let the market get in front of me with this one too. Yes, it's been reprinted. That's great. So what's going to happen to it when the focus goes off this card and everyone starts focusing on the next set? What's going to happen to this? I think it's going to go down. I think it's going to go down from $15 to $18.
When Double Masters comes out and then the next Zendikar set comes out, this will tank even further?
I think so.
I mean, I can't believe we just looked at foil Containment Priest for 50 cents.
Yeah. And put it this way, even if this doesn't go down, right? Even if I'm wrong and I give it a month or two and I'm like, okay,
it's the same price, but it's
still $15 or maybe it's $20. It's not going to spike ridiculously in that time, but I'm going to have a good idea of what the real price point of it is.
Yeah.
And then I'm going to say, I'm going to take my $20 and be happy that I didn't spend $200 on this 2-3 months ago. You know what I mean? Like that's the thing. Like wait for the price point to just hit. If you're a little bit wrong, you still don't lose out much because the card used to be $200, man. Like that's the thing. You just got to always remember that. Like this card was $200 playable not long ago. Now, and let's see where it goes.
Some people will say, oh, well, look at the Red Recruiter. Is that Imperial Recruiter?
Mm-hmm.
That was stupid big money.
Yep.
Because it had only been printed one time.
And this guy right here, cheap bastard, what do you think I did as soon as they reprinted it?
You made sure you got yours.
This exact thing that we're doing. I was like, I wonder what this is going to go down to.
What did it go down to?
$25. I got 2 for $25. I said, I don't really need more than 2. That was twice what I needed at the time. And it's definitely more than that now. But like, that's what I did there. That's
$47 market price.
Jesus, dude. And you get the promos for $53. Jesus Christ. Yeah. It's pretty good.
Right, but this is not about making money. This is not about selling cards. This is about saying, this is an opportunity to get a card. Now, you may not have a whole lot of means to just build a collection, but it probably is more affordable to build a collection over time by finding cards of high value at their lowest dollar cost. Because even if you don't end up playing those cards, those $25 Imperial Recruiters, if they're now $100 in trade fodder in your binder, because you're not actually playing them,
Yeah.
you can get $100 in Grim Tutors or something else.
Exactly. Go trade them for 4 Maze of Ith and then watch this thing just go right back and forth, man. Like, that's kind of, that kind of thing could happen.
The second, hold on, before you start rattling off cards, because I know some of the cards you're going to talk about fall right into my category.
Oh, man.
So we talked about 1, reprints. That's a great time to buy cards not only that you want to play, but cards that you know are going to be were too expensive for you to own and are going to get too expensive for you to want to buy again.
When's another good time to pick up some cards?
After they've been banned.
Yes! Dude, we literally, look. We didn't confer about this at anything, right? I'm going to show you right here. I'm going to try not to show you any of the cards that I put down, right? And I'm going to show you on the camera what I wrote down on my notes. And it's, they can't see that with a glare, but it says, bannings are the time to buy cards. Like, that's what it says on this. We didn't confer about this at all. Like, we just, I'm so glad we came to that. We're on the same page with this stuff, man.
Every once in a while.
Every once in a while, dude. But yeah, so,
yes, when a card gets banned, it's often because it's too powerful. And if it wasn't banned in every format, but just its, say, most popular format, the price is going to go down for a little while. And then eventually it will find a bottom. And then eventually it will creep back up because it's still a stupidly powerful card.
Yeah. So, do we want to get into the part where we say it's time to snap these up?
So go right ahead, because I think yours are going to tie into this.
All right.
Mine don't fit into this. So I'm going to save mine for the end of the cast.
All right. So on Brad's note that he had mentioned about bannings and the perfect time to get cards, this is the time when my cheap ass is going to pick these cards up. It's time for Snap This Up. Play interesting music here. Yes. Very, very interesting. They've never heard that one before. Ha! All right, so I'm going to rattle these off real quick. You know the reasons why I'm saying snap them up. I'm going to rattle off the name, the price, and then I'm going to give it to you. All right? Rapid fire.
He's giving you the business.
Here we go. You know the reasons. Number 1, Once Upon a Time. Get them. $1.50. Stupid. Get them.
And okay, I know you want to rattle these off.
Hogak, Arisen Necropolis. You know why. $1. You going to complain about $1?
Well, and this is what I was going to interject. This is for your collection. If you don't have these cards, even if you maybe don't think you're going to play them right now, they're as cheap as they're ever going to be still.
Right. Get them in your collection. That's the point of this episode. This point of
this episode.
This episode. Snap this up section. Get them in your collection. Like, this isn't just like, hey, maybe they won't go up, but get them in your collection because they're so friggin' good. All right. And here's the kingpin of my list of 3. Right. We had Once Upon a Time, Hogak. I don't care about your feelings about those cards. I don't care about your feelings of those cards. Get them. They're $1 or a little over, and they're stupid powerful. And number 3, it's a little more than the $1.50. But do you guys know where I'm going? Oko, Thief of Crowns, best planeswalker ever made, $16. Get them. You can get the alt art foils for between $16 and $20. Best planeswalker ever made. Best planeswalker ever made. Mind you, this is used in Legacy, Vintage, Commander. It's all over. In Vintage, it's in literally every single deck that I saw on the list today, with the exception of Mud, which runs a bunch of colorless crap. Oko's in them all. If you're not running Mistress Factories, you're running Okos, and that's saying something. That is saying something about that card. If you need a $1,600 card, and 4 of them at that, to make up for the value that you get from this card that's $16 right now. You're either running the $1,600 or you're running the $16. Dude, just get them. Just get them. Trade for them. If you don't want to spend the $16 each, trade for them. When you see them in someone's binder, trade for them, dude. Best Planeswalker ever made. $16. Snap it up.
So, just because a card is banned in a format doesn't remove its value. It may reduce its cost because it reduces the amount that it's played, but the card's inherent playability value, right? That cost versus value idea. Yeah. The value of the card hasn't changed if you're playing something else. So it's banned in Modern.
Mm-hmm.
Great. It's just as good a card in another format.
Right. And think about this, man. Hogak isn't banned in Commander. Like, you could run a Dredge Commander where this guy is your dude. You know what I mean? Or it's not banned in Legacy. It's not banned in Vintage. And all those Dredge decks are running Hogak. Like, it's one of the best Dredge cards ever printed. And it's only $1 right now.
Speaking of cards that Dredge is playing.
Oh.
Last week I talked about Silver Smoke Ghoul.
Hey, yo.
Modern Dredge playing 4 of Silver Smoke Ghoul.
4 of, dude. It's such a cool trigger. We didn't even think of this. You just knew it. This is what we're talking about. Recognizing that value. Brad's got a friggin' heart for this stuff, man.
Sometimes.
The interaction between Creeping Chill and that card is stupid.
Yeah. Like, you're just going to put them both in your graveyard when you dredge, and Creeping Chill is going to get cast. You're going to gain 3 life, and Silver Smoke Ghoul is going to come back into play, and then that's going to trigger Prized Amalgam.
And Creeping Chill was a good card in Dredge before, but it was kind of like an odd card because it was like one and done.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like one and done.
Yeah, that by its nature of being exiled, it doesn't recur the way the rest of the deck seems to want to function.
Right, but now it can trigger all of these guys in your graveyard. Oh my god, dude.
Yeah.
Stupid.
It also, in that deck, gives you the option to pay 1 and a black, sack it for a draw. So if you're not dredging.
Oh my god.
So Silver Smoke Ghoul really does play into that. I am ready to play him with Vampire Lords, though.
Oh man, dude, let me read that card. The not that one, but the
Silver Smoke Ghoul.
Yep.
Yes.
Yeah, I gotta read this guy. Yeah, he's so good in Dredge, man. The beginning of your end step, if you gained 3 or more life this turn, return this guy from your graveyard to the battlefield tapped. Interesting. So he doesn't work as well with Prized Amalgam as I thought. Actually, no, he works really well, dude. Oh my god, he works so good.
Yeah, they can't do anything about it because they'll
this
come
comes
in
in.
on
This
their
comes in
step.
on your turn. Prized Amalgam comes in on their
Theirs.
turn. Oh, it's like 2 delayed trade. That's so stupid. Oh, that's so good.
So you can still attack with them the next turn.
And he's got 3 power too, dude. What? And then you pay 2, sacrifice him, draw a card. God damn, dude.
Sometimes I call a good one.
So, dude, literally, you know what you can do with that card? If you hit another Creeping Chill,
Yeah.
you just swing with him, then sack him to draw, dredge more, and then end of turn, he comes back because you hit the Creeping Chill.
Yep. That's why he's a 4 up in the most recent list. I mean, he may not stay there forever, but I'm glad that I ordered these last week.
Wow, and you got the foils too, man. You weren't messing around. Good call.
Yeah,
good
I'm stupid
call.
like that. I'm trying to think of when the third time that a card might be undervalued.
Oh man, there's a few of them out there.
Maybe it'll come back to me. So just looking at cards that I've noticed recently, I will get into my snap this up now. We're getting a little long in the tooth for the episode. I have a whole page full of them. No, I'm kidding. I'm kidding. But I want to talk about cards that are in print right now. And this is the third thing. Cards that are in print, cards that are in standard. It used to be that you would wait for rotation. Rotation was the third opportunity to pick up a card at its lowest price.
Mm-hmm.
I don't think you're going to see that, at least now in COVID season. People are not playing in stores. They're not cracking packs. They're not playing standard in paper.
Right.
They're playing standard on Arena.
Yeah, you won't see that much past or before September at all, and even much past it, I don't think. Like,
so with the next rotation, yes, people are that cracked packs for the hell of it are going to have some of these cards, but the cards that I'm interested in, the value that they have is not from paper standard play. It's because Bone Crusher Giant is being played in Modern and Pioneer and Standard.
Snap this up. Bone Crusher Giant. I couldn't agree more. I almost got this guy when it was $250, man. And what is it at now?
So the regular Bone Crusher Giant.
Yeah, give me the cheap ass price, like the cheap mofo like myself.
You can get a playset of these for less than $4. You can probably get a playset shipped for $5. If you don't own them and have ever played Red,
sign me up.
You ought to have some of these.
Oh, man.
It's been played in Blue Moon. It's been played in Panza.
I'm going to go do that right now while you're talking about how cool this card is. I'm going to go get me some Bone Crusher Giant.
The showcase art, which is cooler in my opinion. Those are $2 a piece.
Ooh, shit.
The foil showcase arts, you can probably get a playset for $20.
Wow.
If you are a red mage that likes foils, it's probably worth it because I don't think they're going to get a lot cheaper. I don't think those showcase foil prices are based on anybody playing friggin' standard right now. So at rotation, nobody's just going to dump these cards.
Yeah, less than $5, man. $4.89. Look at this. Wow.
Shark Typhoon is being played in Modern. And to the point now where I listen to so many other podcasts, and I listened to maybe 4 different podcasts this week all bring up, can you believe Shark Typhoon is actually like it's becoming an accepted Modern card? And I shake my head and say no, but I looked at it today and thought, I really should be playing this in EDH, but holy crap, it's a $7 foil for the pack foil. It's a $30 foil for the extended art.
Wow, dude, I got $17 in eBay bucks. Yeah, wow.
Bin.
Give me some more, dude.
As Mike says, bin.
Bin. Oh, wow.
Card that we have talked about before, Soul Guide Lantern.
Got him for $0.
Nice.
I did you one.
You did one better.
Yep. See, that's perks to buying cards on eBay, by the way. If you didn't know, you get eBay bucks, and sometimes you can just pick this shit up for free, dude. So I just got Bone Crusher Giants for $0.
Because you use eBay for most of your stuff.
Hell yeah. It's the only way to go, man.
Yeah, so my pick this up is Bone Crusher Giant. My other pick this up is Plague Engineer. I've talked about it before. Combo Goblins is popping off. It does. Plague Engineer helps a little bit with that deck. They're $250 a piece right now. It's Modern Horizons. It's the foil is $25.
Wow.
So 1,000% increase or something on what the regular non-foil card is.
I think easily the third pillar that's replacing when to pick up cards at their lowest is instead of at rotation, when the foil price is eons higher than the regular price. That's probably a good indicator and a good time to pick up the regular one if you didn't have them.
And this is just to expand your personal collection.
Yeah. Give yourself the ability to play them in tournaments or in Commander or whatever. Just have the cards. If that's what you're looking to do, good time to do it. You know what card also fits into that criteria of like the foils being ridiculous and the regular ones not at all.
Not so much. What's that?
Paradoxical Outcome.
Vintage and Legacy, yeah.
Sick value on that card. I mean, yeah, it's used in Vintage and Legacy, but it's not banned in any format.
Nope.
Like, it's used in Vintage Legacy, recently printed. It's a 50-cent card, and the foil is $13.
It's funny because every time when you say that, you know what that makes me think of?
What?
All of the SRAM, like hammers, the Pure Steel Paladin decks in Modern.
Yeah.
every time they print something, that deck is like, we're going to get there. And then it doesn't quite get there.
Mm-hmm.
And I think the last time that happened, and actually now I want to look at it, what did Magnetic Theft go up to?
Oh, yeah.
Because this is a card that only has one printing in Fifth Dawn.
Yep.
Lightly played foils, $14.
Wow.
But really what I want to see, and I'm not getting the sort of price graph. Oh, let me look over here. Magnetic Theft.
That card is just so cool in and of
So
itself.
in May of 2020, I'm thinking about the time that the Colossus Hammer came out. That jumped up quite a bit and then dropped back down. What is this? Oh, that's the online price. So it actually only moved really online. That's interesting.
Yeah, well, because that's just what you were talking about. Nobody's playing tabletop right now.
Here we go.
Yeah. You gotta
When
look
was
way
Colossus Hammer printed?
back. Well, I'm going to guess probably sometime in
Right
January.
about when this...
January 19th.
Right about when that spiked. But here's the thing. If they print another stupid thing, Magnetic Theft is going to jump again.
Oh, yeah.
And I'm not saying run out and pick up Magnetic Theft, but when I think about Paradoxical Outcome, I feel like that's one printing away from blowing up.
Oh, yeah.
Like one artifact, one more 0 mana artifact in Modern that does something unique, and that card's going to pop off. So yes, if that's at an all-time low, you should have those in your collection.
Oh, for sure, man. Well, I don't know if it's at an all-time low. It's kind of like it's always been this low because there's been no use for it. But you remember that? You remember the piece of advice we've been given since like podcast number 1, and that is, I'm pretty sure actually in podcast number 1 I talked about this card, like Paradoxical Outcome. It's so sick, man. The piece of advice was, if the card is used in Vintage and Legacy, Vintage and or Legacy, and you don't see it anywhere else and it's dirt cheap, good idea to keep an eye on it. Like, good idea if it's like 50 cents, probably just get it. Yeah. Like, you know, same with Oath of Druids, right? Like, there was a time where that went down to $2. And I'm not sure what it's at now. Probably, I can't imagine it's much more. But, like, sure, Vintage is the only format that it's used in, really. But, like, it's just a really super good broken card, man. Like, I wouldn't be surprised. Look it up and see if it's actually gone up since then.
One of the things that's interesting, we're looking at the price graph for Paradoxical Outcome.
Yep.
And something I notice is like every 6 months or so, there's a spike where it jumps way up.
Mm-hmm.
Online. In paper.
Oh, yeah. It's always been like
there was
a bulk card.
One spike in Throne of Eldraine. That's interesting. I wonder what there was there.
Eld release.
Okay. Oath of Druids?
Yeah, I'm wondering what that is worth now. It's probably not worth much more than that $2, I wouldn't guess. But, like...
Why is it not coming up?
Does nobody have Oath of Druids? Does nobody have them for sale? Here we go, dude. Oath of Druids. Yep. So you can get them for like $2 still. Like, look at that card and tell me that's not more than $2 in value.
During each player's upkeep, if that player controls fewer creatures than target opponent, the player may reveal cards from his or her library until he or she reveals a creature card. The player puts that creature into play and all other revealed cards into his or her graveyard.
For 2 mana.
Holy crap.
That's 2 mana.
Well, and if you want to be combo, you can just only have 1 or 2 creatures in your deck.
Dude, exactly. That's the whole point of it. Like, if you've ever seen an Oath of Druids deck in Vintage, that's exactly what they do. They have that nowadays. They have Grizzlebrand and Niv Mizzet Parun. Those are the only 2 creatures they run in the deck. And if they go off, you now have to deal with a Grizzlebrand or a Niv Mizzet Parun, and you're going to get drowned in card advantage. They also run, you notice the part of that card that says put them in your graveyard, the other ones that you reveal.
Yeah.
They also run this card called Gaia's Blessing, which was recently reprinted, where Gaia's Blessing says if it's put into your graveyard from your library, shuffle your graveyard back into your library.
Yeah.
So, blam, like suddenly you still have all of those cards. But guess what? Guess what those decks also run?
What?
Those Oath decks in Vintage.
What?
Oko Thief of Crowns.
Of course they do.
Because you give your opponent a 3/3 creature, and they have no choice but to have a creature on the battlefield, and then you oath into something insane. Dude, how is this not a thing in Commander? How do more people not see this stuff? Like, I have that Mouse from Wanderer. You know, the broken, unfun version to play against?
I'm rolling my eyes for those of you that aren't watching the video.
I run Oath of Druids in that deck, and I only run 6 creatures in the deck, and you can bet your damn ass they are all busted as hell. Like, as soon as they come into play from Oath of Druids, it's not even a fair game anymore. Yeah, good card, man. $2.
So, when a card is reprinted, and obviously we have forthcoming double masters for reprints to be on the horizon for. That is a great time to look at cards that were previously a little bit more expensive than you wanted to spend to add a card to your collection. When cards get banned is a great time to pick them up for your collection if the price goes down.
Yep.
Unless they are banned just in every format ever, which doesn't really happen.
Still get them.
Still get them.
Like,
they're going to be dirt
banned
cheap.
in every format. Like Crusade, if that goes down to like $1, I'm going to get that card.
And here's the thing. Sometimes stuff comes off the ban list.
Right. Well, not only that, but it's like, at that point, it's a piece of history. It got banned in every format.
Yeah.
Like, you know what I mean? There's some collector. It's never getting reprinted, right?
Yeah.
So.
And then in the modern era where rotation, as it stands right now, is not going to have a drastic impact. It's not going to dump so many standard cards into the secondary market as it used to. Looking at in-print cards that are seeing play in older formats and really deciding if that card's value or its cost is determined by the eternal formats, they're not going to get any cheaper.
Yeah, and especially a good indicator, like we talked about, is look at the foil prices versus the regular prices. Like, if you're just trying to get them in your collection and you see Paradoxical Outcome has a $13 foil and it's a 50-cent card, like, why not? What's it hurting? Just get 4 of that card and just watch what happens. Like,
yeah.
If it's always a 50-cent card, it's never getting any cheaper. It's still sick. You're gonna run it into some of your commander decks, like, you know, some crazy artifact commander deck you make someday. You're gonna be like, yeah, this is perfect.
Sweet.
Yep.
Thank you for coming over and having a conversation with me, Mike.
You know, you don't even have to thank me anymore, Brad. I love you so much. I look forward to it.
I think it's part of established podcast etiquette. I will continue to thank you, even if you don't friggin' like it. You have been listening to the Snapcast podcast with Michael Cooley and Brad O'Brien. You can find me on the Twitter at Zetabase, Zetabass.
And you can find me on the old tweet face at Cooley with 3 O's, Cooley.
You can also find Michael's Diablo 2 content on YouTube and his channel East Duels.
Man, we quickly approaching that subscriber mark for monetization there, man.
That's fantastic.
We're getting there. East Duels, homies.
We might end up being a Diablo 2 podcast where I just run the board and nod.
If you're coming here from that Diablo 2 channel, thank you so much. I appreciate that. And you are a devoted listener and watcher.
Devoted druids.
You are a devoted druid in both games, and we appreciate that.
Kaya Orzhov, Usurper, is undervalued. Love you guys.
Well, now I got to go check that card out.
Yeah.
What is it? You just said a mouthful of shit.
Kaya Orzhov, Usurper. Kaya Orzhov, Usurper.
Oh, the Planeswalker? Oh,
3 mana Planeswalker?
Oh, shit, yeah. I don't care what the price of that is. It's undervalued. That card is so good.
I can't be trusted. Man, I didn't even put on deodorant today, I can tell you that.
I can't remember if I did or not. You don't need to smell good for Zoom meetings, so.
You only have to look good from the waist up, and
That's
you
right.
don't have to smell good for a Zoom meeting.
Yeah. I wish I could say this is the first era in my life where I wore no pants to a professional meeting before, but it's not the case.